I, 19 male, have not had my dad in my life since I was 6. He was a pretty absent dad when he and my mom were married, but then she found out he had been cheating on her, and she divorced him. The person he was having an affair with knew about us, and she had been led to believe that she was going to get a kid out of the deal, believing she was infertile. So my dad made Mom an offer to take me off her hands for his other woman to raise and give my mom some money every month. Mom told him to take a hike. I learned most of this in the last couple of years. My mom always kept this stuff to herself before that. She never wanted to burden me or for me to feel more hate for him than I already did for not being in my life, but she was honest with me eventually. And I'm somewhat glad she didn't tell me when I was small. I had a lot of hate in me for a few years, and it would have made things worse. My dad's parents were in my life even after he wasn't. They did have some communication with him, but not all that much. He married the other woman, and apparently they had tried to adopt and stuff but failed at several hurdles. Then she got pregnant a few years ago, and they had a daughter, toddler. My dad ended up dying just after the baby was born. He had a massive heart attack, which didn't surprise me or my mom at all. He worked a lot back when he was with my mom, and his diet was crap. 4 months ago, his wife suddenly passed away, which left their daughter without either parent. So my parents became her legal guardians. I've never met her, and even though she's my half-sister biologically, I don't consider her my sibling or my family. Blood isn't what makes a family, and I don't want to be a part of her family circle. My grandparents have asked me for help with her. They said that they were not getting any younger and would like someone to come and play with her for a while, and they suggested that I babysit if they have medical appointments and don't want her running around hospitals, etc. I told them I didn't want to be in her life and I didn't want to meet her, so I would not help them with her. I suggested they find a babysitter who could help. They told me it would be better for her if I did it because she could get to know me, and having a big brother in her life would be much better. I made it clear to them that I wasn't interested, but they didn't like that. And they told me they'd always done their best to make up for how badly my dad treated me, and they wanted me to be better than him, and to make sure she was better than I was. They told me she was innocent, and they never did anything wrong in this either, so why punish everyone else? When I didn't give in, they told me I was turning into my dad, aka someone who doesn't care about people I should care about. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Just because she's innocent doesn't make her your responsibility. It's not her fault her dad was trash, just like it's not yours, but it's not your responsibility to take care of his responsibility just because he's gone. Trying to guilt or shame you by comparing your refusing to help with your father abandoning you isn't fair at all. But this is going to ruin your relationship with your grandparents. They've made their position clear. They think that you owe this girl. They think you owe them. Yep, the grandparents are essentially saying, you can be a better dad to her than your dad was to you. Oh, P, you owe this girl nothing. You're not her father. You haven't hurt anybody, and you're not hurting someone who's never met you. They're trying to set it in place, so you take care of her if something happens to them. That's genuinely not fair to you. Grandparents understand they're old. They may die in the next 14 to 15 years. They want you to build a relationship with her, so you'll take legal guardianship of her. You're drawing a clear boundary, and considering what your father was like, your grandparents should respect it. They're likely trying to forge a relationship between you so that, if anything happens to them, you or even your mom would step in and take guardianship of your half-sister. Mini update. I never thought of my mom being connected, but they did ask my mom if she'd like to meet her, their granddaughter, and I did wonder why. Now I know. Mom wasn't sure why either, but figured it was because they'd stayed on okay terms after the divorce. Thank you for your advice. I adopted my niece, 19, when she was 9, because both her parents were deadbeat idiots. I gave her the best life that I could. She always had everything she wanted and more. I gave her the master bedroom in our home, and I bought her the most beautiful jewelry and brand clothes. I got her a good car as soon as she got her license, and currently, I'm paying for her college so she can be debt-free. These are just a few examples. There are many more. I'm also a single dad to a teen daughter. My niece is always extremely jealous of my daughter, and while my daughter looks up to her and loves her, my niece always just ignores her, which hurts my little girl. A few days ago, when my daughter was in school, she got a bad stomach ache and called me. Unfortunately, my phone died, so I didn't receive her call. She then called my niece, who told her that she didn't care and wouldn't pick her up from school. When I found out what happened, I was furious. I asked my niece why on earth she would do this. She told me that once when she was in school and got her period, she has very bad and painful periods. She called me to pick her up from school, and I told her it was no big deal and she should just deal with it because I can't pick her up. She said if she could deal with it, then so can my daughter. I got mad and yelled at her that it was different. I couldn't pick her up at the time, but now she could do it and decided not to. She screamed at me and called me an idiot, saying, "You always have an excuse." I'm seriously considering not paying for her college anymore because of her behavior. You are the idiot. If you adopted her, she's your daughter now, not your niece. You dismissed her pain when she was younger, and it would have been wonderful if she had been a better person than you and picked your daughter up. But she didn't, because you taught her to be dismissive. That she did something you didn't like led you to wanting to stop paying for college is a massive overreaction. No wonder she takes issue with you, if this is how you parent. And finally, let's not bury the fact that your phone was dead. The only reason your daughter had to call your adoptive daughter is because her parent and legal guardian was irresponsible and not available for her. Suffer? It's a stomach ache, not a broken arm or a fainting spell. She might be more comfortable at home, but the school nurse will be able to treat her, lie down with a bucket, and manage her pain, water and maybe Pepto, just as effectively. Do you seriously think cutting off her tuition is a reasonable punishment for not picking up your daughter over a stomach ache? Wow, you're such an idiot. You don't want to pay for her any longer and are looking for any reason to cut her off. Yeah, good point. Will you cut your daughter off from her college fund if she does something hurtful to your niece? No wonder your niece is jealous of your daughter. You may be providing financial support for her, but emotional support? Doesn't sound like it. She lost her parents, and all you did was step up financially if she behaves. She's not your daughter's mother. You are the parent. This poor niece doesn't have her parents, and now the one adult she does have is threatening something as major as not paying for her college because she didn't pick up your kid when she had a stomach ache? I was expecting your daughter to have died or something equally dramatic for this level of punishment. My 43 male niece, young teen, is being raised by my wife, 40, and I. It's a long story having to do with my sister getting herself pregnant from a deadbeat and proving overall unfit to be a mother. The bottom line is that I see my niece as my daughter and love her just as much as my own biological children, boys, tween and pretween. I know my wife also loves her the same way. However, I'm legally my niece's sole legal guardian. My niece has practiced gymnastics for the past 10 years, and when she was about 7 or 8, one of her gym coaches noticed her potential and suggested she could really make it as a professional athlete. I believe my wife and my niece/daughter were taken by this promise of future glory. Can you imagine if she competes in the Olympics one day? My wife said. I was always very cautious because I did realize the shot was slim. I also knew that could cost us a lot of money going forward, but the coach believed so much in her that they managed to cover some of the cost of her training on the gym's dime. And when I say training, I mean training, some serious hard work. I told them I was fine with the idea as long as my niece was happy doing gymnastics and it didn't majorly impact her life. And then last month, she tore her ACL during practice. We do have insurance, so the medical costs were covered. However, she's going through a painful recovery, all the while wondering when she'll be healthy enough to get back to the gym. But I told my wife I didn't want her doing this anymore. Seeing her get hurt and in pain made me realize that this is a dangerous sport, and the toll it's taking on her body is simply not worth it. My wife said I couldn't make this decision without considering what my niece wants. I said I could because I'm the adult here and she's still a child. So my wife said that there was still the matter of her disagreeing with my view and that we were supposed to make these parenting decisions together. I then said that it's true regarding our boys, but not when it comes to my niece. All I meant is that I am the sole guardian in the sense of being responsible for her. What my wife got is that I'm undermining her as a surrogate mother. Am I the idiot here? Edit. Some additional information. To be clear, I still do need to talk to my niece about this. I shared with my wife that given the severity of her injury, I didn't want her training anymore. This discussion was between my wife and me. It didn't involve our girl so far. Yep, you are the idiot. When your wife makes dinner, do you stop her from making dinner for your niece because it's your responsibility? When she offers to take her to practice, do you stop her and tell her you'll do it since it's your sole responsibility as sole guardian? When she needs help with homework, relationship advice, or female hygiene issues, are you prepared to tackle all of those issues on your own as the sole guardian? If not, shut your freaking mouth and give your wife the respect she deserves for taking in your niece along with you. She deserves that much. Oh, I'd bet good money that he's not the sole caretaker. In fact, given that they have other kids, I practically guarantee it. So she's at a minimum carrying half the load, probably more based on statistics. And he thinks he gets to be unilateral on this? If he follows through, I hope she stops doing everything for this girl. Sit her down and say, I love you, and I want to keep doing everything I'm doing. But my husband, your uncle, insists that he's the only one who gets to make decisions about or care for you. So I can't do any of the things I've done before. See how long that lasts. I give it 3 days. Dude, I'm sure there are other ways to get that point out, other than the wife punishing the girl for her husband's stupidity. OP, your wife should have just as much say in decisions regarding the niece as you do. That being said, it's time for all 3 of you to consult with a sports professional, not just some coach at some gym who sees potential, but professionals can give a real insight into coming back from this type of injury. Professionals can evaluate her potential, etc. Unilaterally, just deciding she can't return to a sport she loves is wrong and cruel. When my older son was going to high school, they had an amazing math teacher. Unfortunately, she retired, and the school has a new teacher that is much worse. My teen son started having issues with math, and his grades dropped significantly. His teacher called me in to tell me that my son wasn't doing well in class. I contacted another parent, and he's not the only kid with this issue. The teacher is so incompetent that she doesn't even try to explain complicated exercises to the students. She just hopes that they'll somehow get it. And she gives them loads of homework that they don't even understand. For example, she gave them a test with really complex cube root equations, even though she only briefly explained the square roots. So when she called me in, she told me that I should have explained that at home. I was very angry because the teacher must explain things, not me. I have 2 kids, one of whom is chronically ill, and I have a full-time job on top of that. My kids are fed, clothed, and well-raised, and being their math teacher isn't my responsibility. So I said, I don't expect you to feed and clothe my kid. Why do you expect me to teach him? I manage my responsibilities completely fine. Can you manage yours for once? She said I was behaving inappropriately and threatened to report me to CPS. I said, good luck, and left. She told the principal about it, and he contacted me, saying I verbally assaulted the teacher. Everyone's the idiot here. The teacher is awful for not performing her duties to the fullest extent and blaming you for her shortcomings. However, you shouldn't have snapped like that. If she was pointing fingers, the only thing you should do is report it to the principal and move this higher up, maybe getting other parents involved. I understand your frustrations, but you made this worse for yourself and ultimately your son because he's now the son of that lady who cussed the math teacher out. She didn't have a reason to dislike your son before, but now you've given her one. Be honest. Did you expect that comment to result in your son having a better experience in math class? You are the idiot, OP. You're allowed to have issues with the teacher, and it sounds like your complaints are valid, but you chose to insult the teacher and be aggressive rather than try to talk through and find a solution. Yep, you're not wrong. You're just an idiot. Cursing out the math teacher isn't going to resolve any sort of problem and makes you look like an idiot in the eyes of the school and administration. It's probably embarrassing for your son to have his mommy yell at the teacher for him too. Update. Thank you for the insightful comments. Yes, I overreacted, but it's honestly hard not to overreact when your kid's grades drop from 85 average to below 60 at max. I'm no math prodigy, and I can't help him with this homework. He has to go and pester his brother, who's in college, so he has it 2 times harder and is constantly exhausted because he has a health condition. And to be honest, the teacher has this prickly personality. She has that rule that you can't get over 90 if you retake the test, even if you did everything perfectly. Mind you, my youngest aims for a good college, so he needs that GPA. Why does she get away with her low professional skills? So some other concerned parents and I filed a lawsuit against the school as it failed to provide adequate education. My brother-in-law is an attorney, and he said we have a good chance of winning the lawsuit as our kids collected plenty of evidence that she doesn't do crap in class and somehow expects the kids to learn complicated math by themselves. Wish us luck. Last Saturday, we had a few friends over. It was 3 couples and us. We all have kids. I'm from a country that doesn't make a different meal for kids. The kids eat precisely the same as the adults, only in smaller portions and pre-cut if necessary. 2 of the 3 couples are also from the same country as we met in German class. One of the couples we met at an event, so I asked everyone if there were allergies, restrictions, no-goes, etc., because I wanted to keep them in mind for dinner. They all said no, everything was normal. When they arrived, we had a good time until dinner was served. Let's call the couple we met at the event Lena and Leon. It all started with Lena saying that the kids should eat beforehand. I said that the food wasn't done. Then we started serving the food. We put the kids' portion in those colorful IKEA bowls and put them down. Lena and Leon were flabbergasted. They asked where the kids' food was. I pointed, confused, to the bowl. Leon said that that was not kids' food. That kids' food was nuggets, pizza, or pasta with ketchup. Their kids were crying and started crying even harder when the other kids started eating the food. Leon took their kids to McDonald's, and Lena said we should adapt to this country and eventually leave. I felt horrible because I wanted to be a good host. My husband said that they should have told me if the kids were picky eaters. My other friends said maybe we should have done some more research. So am I the idiot for not making food for kids? Edit. We're Colombian and live in Germany. There's no such thing as kids' food. There's food. If all your kids eat is pizza and chicken nuggets, it's because you allowed it. It's just lazy parenting to give in to your kids like that. And they don't feed their children kids' food. They feed them unhealthy fast food. You're not the idiot. Now they know to feed their kids at home. Also, kids don't eat before the adults, at least not the ones who got raised well. German here. There's no such thing as kids' food here in Germany. The children are eating the same foods as everyone else. And since when is chicken nuggets, pizza, and McDonald's German food? Sounds like a joke, to be honest. The couple just have spoiled their children. They should have informed you before. For a guest in Germany, it is custom to eat or at least try to eat what's served by the host. Everything else is just rude. If the guest dislikes the dish, we make them bread with butter and cheese, cold cuts or jam. Do not invite these bores again.